floating away.
Hello, world. It's me, Dylan Reimer, and this is my Matinee Highway experiment, podcast, whatever you want to call it. I am a touring comedian. I find myself in a lot of places, and I go to a lot of movies. I figured, why not start reviewing them? Today, I find myself in Kingston, Ontario. I'm here doing shows for Absolute Comedy, which is one of my favorite clubs. And so far, the shows have been great. I've had a lot of fun with all the local Ontario comedians. But I'm here to talk about the movie I saw today, and that movie is a Canadian feature. And because it's Canadian, a lot of people have never heard of it. It is called Night Raiders, and it's directed by I could be mispronouncing this, Dani Goulet, and she is a Cree Métis film director here in Ontario. So she wrote, produced, and directed it. And it's co-produced by Taika Waititi, who has been doing a lot of very interesting work. If you're a film fan, you know all about Taika. He's just generally great and cool, but he also clearly has an interest in elevating Indigenous voices in cinema. I don't know how much he had to do with it, but frankly, I only heard about it because of Taika Waititi. So thank you, Taika, for introducing me to this fantastic new director. What's also remarkable about the film is it is almost entirely Indigenous actors, and the story is told from the perspective of a young Cree woman. It takes place in a bleak dystopian future. Think Children of Men, think The Road. This movie is, I mean, some would say depressing. I don't know, but it is one of those very tactile and cold feeling futures that you get, with bleak dystopian cinema. In the future, the fascist colonialist dictatorship, for lack of a better word, colonial, I don't know about dictatorship, but definitely colonialist, and they literally steal children and take them to some insidious fortress where they are brainwashed and turned into super soldiers. It's Orwellian, but also it's particularly resonant here in Canada, due to the recent revelations that, frankly, if you were paying attention to Canadian history, weren't that surprising at all. Yeah, the residential school, genocide. Yeah, when children are literally pried from the arms of their parents, mostly people of color in the film, and the jackbooted future cops, take a step back, please, sir. Sir, I'm going to ask you to calm down, sir. On the ground. It's very evocative, and it is very interesting seeing a science fiction thriller drama. I'm not quite sure what the tone is, but it's definitely a dramatic thriller from the perspective of a single woman of the Cree Nation. And I don't want to spoil too much about it. There is also a Maori influence in this. I imagine that Taika has probably got something to do with that. There was one moment featuring a Maori character standing down a killer robotic drone, and he did that fucking badass. I mean, I don't know what it's called. Forgive me. I'm very Caucasian and North American, but that thing, where they step forward and it's just so fucking freaky and badass and rad. So there was a really great moment there. And again, you don't usually see that in a science fiction film. So the movie is very interesting. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it, but sadly, I was alone in the theater because nobody's heard of this movie, which is often the case with a lot of Canadian cinema, and particularly, Indigenous film, or really people of any color that isn't white. Go see it. If it's in your theater, please send some money their way. Younger, more struggling filmmakers, particularly in this country where Canadians just do not fucking support our own. Go see it. This movie is better than the last fucking 10 Marvel movies, but it is a slow burn. It is a little on the depressing side. And of course, it being, a first-time filmmaker, there are certain problems. There are a couple of plot holes. There are moments that, don't make that much sense, so you don't really understand certain characters' motivation. But the mere fact that they pulled off, a feature-length, just a sci-fi thriller with an indigenous slant to it from an indigenous perspective is remarkable, and for that reason I think it's one of the it's one of the most interesting film experiences I've had this year. Go see this movie, and I think we're going to see a lot more from Danny Goulet. She's a terrific director. Well done. Reimer's review is pretty damn good. Pretty damn good, if I can actually edit the words in if I have time before I get this one out. I am at Absolute Comedy here in Kingston, and then I'm moving on out to Ottawa, where I'll be doing 7 shows at Absolute Comedy on Preston Street. I say too much, and I'm going to notice that when I'm editing this fucking thing. And I'm recording my, I guess, debut album. I've done recordings before, but this is the first one I've ever done with a record company. 800 Pound Gorilla are coming out to tape Little Old Me. I don't even know what it's called yet. I'm just going to record it, and we'll be releasing that in the new year. So if you want to be a part of Dylan Reimer history, hell, collective Dylan Reimer history, come out and worship me on tape. And I'll be very thankful, and I will send you a copy. Okay, I have been Dylan Reimer. Check out my website, www.dylanreimer.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, which you almost undoubtedly are, because it's probably the only place where I've posted it. Down below, like my balls. Click my balls and subscribe to my balls down below. Leave a comment if you've seen the movie. I don't know how many people are going to watch this video, but if you saw it and you liked it, I would very much like to hear your thoughts, because it's a unique and special film. And I really don't see that. I really don't see movies like this very often. So go see it. Night Raiders. And then come see me in Ottawa at Absolute Comedy. I have been Dylan Reimer. This has been Matinee Highway, and I'll see you on the side of the road.